Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. So I saw this article today in the New York Times about Mayor de Blasio, the New York City mayor, who is pushing legislation to remove entrance exams to what's called a magnet school. Magnet schools, like a refrigerator magnet. Magnet schools in New York City are a handful of schools, high schools, that accept only the elite level caliber students. The thing to know about that is that the elite is defined strictly by one entrance exam, and that's it. There's no interviews. They don't even look at like report cards. It's just an exam, and that's it. No extracurriculars, nothing. So there's a handful of magnet schools in the city. Most notable are like Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, very very good school. There's one called Hunter, like Hunter College Prep, something like that. Um, These are the magnet schools. I've met a few magnet school students along the way. I'm not one of them, but the ones that I've met, they're freaking smart people, and so there's no doubt that the magnet schools are identifying the cream of the crop. And to get in, it's very simple. You take an entrance exam. I think it's in eighth grade, I think, and you get in or you don't, and that's it. And so um, they've been around for a while, like way before I was born, and the thing is, because it's strictly based on an exam, the demographic composition of these magnet schools are not at all reflective of New York City as a whole. It's like 80% Asian or something crazy like that, and like 4% African American and Latino. It's in the article somewhere. Let's find it. Um, so 4% in Stuyvesant, 15% overall. Presumably the other 96% at STY, it's called STY for short. At STY is like Asian and Caucasian. So those are the remaining 96%. But it's probably even more Asian, to be honest. So this is obviously considered a gross social injustice that Mayor de Blasio has to rectify, and so he's pushing legislation to remove the exam. All right, just another thing that Asians have to outperform. So like, obviously I'm Asian American. I went to Cornell University, which is an Ivy League school, but I got rejected from a couple colleges that I applied to, despite my near perfect SAT scores and my literal perfect AP exam scores and my SAT, what's called the subject tests, perfect on all those, and like my 96 average or whatever it was, I don't remember, but it was high. Um, but I still got rejected from a couple colleges. The one that stung me the most is Duke, because I'll get into that in another video. But Duke, I'm a huge sports fan, and I wanted to watch Duke basketball. That's like the only reason I applied to Duke. I wanted to watch the Duke basketball games. But that's how seriously I took my college process. Like, I wasn't like crushed by it. I didn't really. I mean, I cared, but I wasn't like devastated by not getting into Duke. I was more like, all right, well, then I'll just go to Cornell and do that instead. Like it did. I didn't take it as seriously as I probably should have. Now, here's the thing. Um, what what people are like Mayor de Blasio and these politicians and whatnot, what they're not accounting for is the crazy Asian mother. They never experienced the crazy Asian mother. And my mother was a crazy Asian mother. And if you're an Asian American watching this video, of a certain age at least, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so by the time I was 10 or 11, it had become very clear to me I am going to ace the SAT. There is no way around it. I'm going to kick the shit out of the SAT. This is when I was like 11 years old. I started going to what's called a cram school. I'm a Korean American. So in Korean, it's called a hagwon. If you're Korean, you know damn well what I'm talking about. I started going to a hagwon roughly when I was 12, I think. A cram school. That means 2 or 3 times a week after regular school, when all the other boys and girls were outside playing sports and doing whatever, drama class, whatever, I had to go to my cram school and do more math, more verbal preparation for the SAT, sometimes chemistry, depending on what test was coming up, or biology, whatever exam was coming up, whatever standardized test was coming up. This went on for years, not months, years. And I wasn't the only one. There was quite a few of us, all Korean kids, just cramming for the SAT in 8th fucking grade, right? SAT was 3 years away, right? 4 years away, whatever. And my parents left nothing, or not my parent, my mom left nothing to chance. I'm going to destroy the SAT one way or the other. And she was right. She was right. By the time I was 15, I was a machine on that exam. I kicked the shit out of the SAT again and again and again and again, right? And so what's happening? These colleges are starting to remove SAT like requirements for the same exact reason. Okay, that's fine. None of this really bothers me, because when you get out in the real world, game's changed. Game's different. People now in New York City, at least, they look at me, they just think I'm fucking smart. I automatically get that benefit of the doubt. It doesn't, like, I don't have to even say anything. I started to realize, roughly around my mid-20s, like, oh, this is what everyone was talking about. Like, people just assume I'm smart. And then from there, they just start cutting checks for me to write their software code, right? And that's it. That's it. And then the actual abilities are in place now. I am a good software engineer to some extent because of all that preparation I did when I was a kid that I didn't even know I was doing. My mom just made me do it, right? And that's the culture. That's what I grew up with. And that's not just me. I'm not like a unique individual in this sense. There are people watching this video right now who know exactly what I'm talking about. And so once you get beyond college, because college ends when you're 22, you're just getting started with life. And people tend to forget that. I know I didn't really think beyond 22 when I was in high school. I was like, oh, college is the end all be all, right? No, it's not. That's the beginning. College is the starting line. Once you get to the end of college, you have now begun. And now life really begins. And no legislation, no amount of legislation, no amount of political influence can change perception, underlying perception. And right now, I am benefiting a lot from underlying perception, no matter where I went to college. In fact, my clients don't know where I went to college. People I work with don't know where I went to college, except the ones who asked. Nobody cares. I don't care. It doesn't affect what goes on in my day to day. But when they see me, they obviously recognize that I'm Asian. And that confers a lot of stereotypes, some good, some bad, and I live with them both. I gotta deal with the bad ones too, right? But I'm taking the good with the bad, right? The bad ones I'll probably discuss in another video, but guess what? There are some good ones too, and I like having them, and I'm gonna keep using it to my advantage. And Mayor de Blasio can't change that. He's not gonna change that. There's nothing he can do about that. It's out of his control. It's nothing he can do. One thing that these politicians and all of these sort of movements to alter the demographic composition of top schools and jobs and the best jobs and whatnot, they're not accounting for the underlying culture. And at least as it relates to my experience growing up, they're not accounting for the crazy Asian mom. My mom was crazy. It wasn't exactly healthy either. Like I wouldn't do that to my own kids. This is also something that will eventually change as generations grow up. Like I'm a second generation Asian. Like I'm not going to do this to my kids. I'm not going to put my kids in cramps. I'm not going to put them through all that. I don't think it was healthy. I don't think it was the right good way to grow up. It put a lot of pressure on me. I always had to get perfects on math and even the verbal stuff. There was a little bit more wiggle room on the verbal. They didn't seem to mind as much on that, but like the math had to be perfect. And so It's, that's the culture right now, circa 2018. But when I was growing up, 90s and 2000s and whatever, that'll all change once, like, my friends are having kids now, and like when I have kids, like I'm not gonna do that to my kids. I don't think I don't really have a lot of Asian friends, so I don't think like my generation of Asian people will do that to their kids because it just wasn't like I don't really think it's a good way to grow up. The pressure was too intense, but um, I was able to handle it. Like I kind of just didn't. I kind of ignored it in high school mostly because I was too busy like focusing on other stuff. Um, so it's going to change sort of on its own. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. It's going to change on its own. Like when I have kids and they start growing up, they're not going to go through all that. They're going to go through a more traditional upbringing. I'm gonna have them play sports and do fun stuff and explore their interests and try and have after school activities that are fun to do and hopefully have a lot of friends and stuff like that. Like I want that for my kids. The crazy Asian mom is not concerned about any of that. You have to understand the crazy Asian mom doesn't give a shit about any of that. Right? It's just you have to destroy these tests. You have to get A's all the time. Right? And I remember one day in sixth grade, you had to take all your tests home to get signed by your parents because otherwise the teacher didn't think you actually your parents saw it. And I brought home a C one day because I just I had a bad day. I don't know. I just wasn't focusing. I was kind of a shithead. And my mom refused to sign it. She was like, "Nope, I refuse to acknowledge this. Like this didn't happen." Like she she was just so like it wasn't that she was mad. It was like I'm not acknowledging this even happened. Like you have to go back and get like I don't know what her thought process was to be honest. There was no logic there. She was just like this didn't happen. Like you don't ever let this happen again. I'm not signing this. I'm not acknowledging the existence of this exam. And I was like, Mom, what? Like I don't know what to do. Like this, but the teacher told me to tell you to sign it. So like that's how crazy you see. Um, it's literally crazy. So no amount of legislation can ever account for that, right? And this is what Korean and presumably Taiwanese and Japanese kids in America, at least in my age group, grew up with. Like this is it. This was my life growing up. At least one part of it, and that's one thing that like parents my age, like not parents my age, like people my parents' age didn't really account for, or at least in my case, is that along the way, as they were doing all this, they were creating a mathematical machine, a quantitative machine. And in where I live, in my profession, that's power. That's autonomy. I have a lot of autonomy in my life because of this education that my parents shoved down my throat, just pounded into my brain. So what that means is now I can go off the reservation. I did a whole video on that last time about people contemplating suicide. So now I'm off the reservation. What do I mean by that? I'm now off script. By now I should have been a doctor or a lawyer. That's what my parents understand. Excuse me, I'm just trying it's a mosquito. Sorry. So the script was doctor or lawyer, and by now at least one kid, probably second one on the way, uh, and that's it. That's what should be happening right now, according to my parents' script. That's not happening because I can do whatever I want to now with my abilities. They fail to account for that, and and I think I'm a little bit different in this regard because the other Asian friends I do have from Cornell, at least they stayed on script. They they maintain the script. One is married right now, and he's in dental school and all that stuff, and he stayed on course. But I was like, nah, I can do whatever I want now because people pay me a lot of money for the skill set that I have, and as long as I'm out of school and I'm doing my own thing, then I'm just doing my own thing. I think it goes two ways. My not my parent. I always say my mom because my mom was orchestrating all this. My mom failed to account for the other side of the culture, the American culture, which I admire more. I think is the stronger culture in one of being a self-made man, one of entrepreneurship, doing your own thing, blazing your own trail, stuff like that, and seeing what you got, seeing what you can do. That's not at all the way it was supposed to play out, according to my mom's script, right? But hey, she pounded all these skills into me, and I'm not 16 years old. I can do whatever I want, and that's what I'm doing. So that's the flip side, right? Um, so I didn't really mean to get into all that, but these things are just going to continue to happen. And none of this surprises me. And none of it really bothers me, to be honest. Like it's going to continue to happen. As far as Asians go, at least, we are quite used to this. I mentioned that in another video. Like we're just used to this. We always have to outperform to get the same access. Uh, if I want to get into Stanford, I didn't even apply to Stanford, by the way, because I knew I wasn't getting in. But like, if I wanted to get into Stanford, I have to do like 200 points better on the SAT than, let's just say, certain other ethnicities. And I think we all know what I mean by that. And that's it. That's just the way it is. The thing is, crazy Asian moms will make sure that's exactly what happens. So until Bill de Blasio can somehow legislate that away, which he won't do. That's impossible. My mom is crazy, and so is every other Asian mom that I came across. It's fucking nuts. Um, there's no way he can legislate that away, and he's not even aware of what he's up against. The level of crazy that these people put their children through is undescribable. And I experienced it firsthand. And as a result, I am fucking nasty at math, and I'm a really good fucking programmer, and I'm actually pretty good at like writing and stuff too. That's all from that experience. I'm good at my verbal skills, and I can articulate well. I have a relatively expansive vocabulary, and I can speak articulately to clients in a business context. That's all from the training when I was a kid. And so my mom made all that happen. And that's great. So now I can do whatever. And that's it. And de Blasio can't change that. And none of these politicians can change that. They're not even aware that that's what's happening. And yeah, it's pretty intense, but none of this surprises me. This is just the way it's been my entire life, and the way it'll continue to be, and whatever, we just got to keep on doing better, and that's the end of it. So, all right, no real tech content in this video. I just thought this was an interesting topic, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and yeah, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.